Hello, YouTube friends. Random and spontaneous insights from the studio once more. And I have a friend visiting today, and we're going to have a little chat. You can step around and have a look at this. There's no image. It's like I'm just doing a screen capture here, okay? It's just a screen capture. So anyway, what we're looking at here is the official NASA LEM called Lunar Exploratory Module, LEM, in brackets ON. I call it lemon, right? Does that make sense to you?
It does.
Lemon makes sense, huh? Okay, so here's an image, and you'll see where I'm going with this in a minute. And do you have a comment on how this looks to you, in terms of what you're seeing here? The official drawing, a schematic or whatever cartoon of, people that went to the moon used this, right?
The top of it reminds me of Farmer's Silo. It's a very familiar site. It's as if it was constructed to remind people.
Imitate silo. So whoever did this, do you see these little blasters right here? These right? These are like what's that? Directional, right? A silo with directional power, like explosions, right?
Yes.
Jets for the Jetsons, right?
And hopefully they're able to rotate and correct the course in different directions and not. By the look of it, they just operate in one direction. They're fixed.
So they're limited to certain directional impulses that they're supposedly giving, right? And of course, this big part here, there's got to be fuel in this whole thing back here, and this is where people hang out and live for a while, and then they join up. Look, they barely fit through there. Now the backpack that they wear on the moon's got to go through there too, right? Or is that already in this LEM? Is it in the LEM already, the backpack that they wear to sustain themselves?
I would imagine that's what they would argue, that it is there because
it wouldn't go through.
They don't need it to come back.
True, they just leave it there.
They would argue that this is what's being done.
Okay.
It's not a necessary equipment to return.
Okay, so as you can see here in this image, the guy has to go through it. He cannot have a backpack. It's like a very narrow pass, right? Now here's the point. This is what I wanted to. This is beautiful. This is the structure of this thing in here. Okay, so now we're going to go to a shot over here. All right, we're going to go to the car that they supposedly had on from 15, 16, 17 Apollos had cars. And by the way, this car, if you see here, cost $38 million for this thing. $38 million to produce this, okay? Now, what do you think of those nice seats? Did two people ever sit in them?
Well, they're nice lawn chairs.
They're kind of like a lawn chair construction, huh? Yeah. Whoever is the designer of this must have sat in the backyard along at barbecues and figured this is the best chair to produce.
Which would be perfect for the moon because the aluminum frame is very lightweight, and durable, and up there it doesn't rust or the fabric, so it can last for a long time.
So it's made for durability and long-lastingness or something?
I think you can buy one at Walmart for $12.99.
$38 million, you gotta have like a super duper seat. Where's the steering wheel? Where's the goddamn steering wheel in this? How did they steer this thing? They must have foot controls or something, huh? 38 million bucks, people. 38 million. What's this little floppy thing in the front? What's this for? What's this little floppy thing right there? Right in the front.
Perhaps it's a scanner.
Yeah? It looks floppy.
It is. It's pointed down, so it's examining the surface for
okay.
I don't know.
Okay.
Possible. We're just certain that there were no sinkholes on the moon, that this would not drop into a sinkhole.
A sinkhole would eat it up, maybe. They wouldn't know that.
I mean, there are lots of craters there. If you
why wouldn't it disappear? Maybe like just I guess they figured all that in their risk models or something, huh?
Well, that goes along with the argument that if the sole purpose of this rover is to extend the range of exploration, what happens if it breaks down at the far end?
Yeah, it went like 7, 8 miles or more, 9 miles. And what happened? You walk back after that? No, you call CAA. You call the Auto League for a tow, right? Okay. So here's my point, people. Look at this. Okay? Look at this car. Now this is an official image. It supposedly is an actual photograph, whoever took this, of the car in front of when they landed. And look at the size of the car in front. It's maybe 2-3 feet in front. Now the distance of this, the size of this car from one end of the wheel to the other end of the wheel, where the hell did they put this? Where is the little cabin? Now this, I imagine, is supposedly holding the car in there, but this is full of fuel for the 10,000-pound thruster that'll push them back up into space. They have fuel and whatever other mechanics to make this rocket work that pushes them back. Where is the car? Where did they keep?
There cannot be any opening at the bottom because that's where all the rocket engine.
All the assemblies to make the thing work.
Yeah, it's pointed.
There's no room for it to park a car. Like a garage door opens, no. And how does this car come out of there?
If you go back to the beginning picture, that picture of the whole.
The first thing, yeah, yes. Here.
You see the ladder here on the side.
The ladder is there, yeah.
These ladders. That's about the only way you can climb up to this platform and in and out.
Yes.
And how would you be getting the Rover out?
And where is the Rover parked? It's not obviously inside here. It can't be inside here. It's got to be down there somewhere.
We have to approach it from the other. It cannot be at the bottom because this is where all the explosion happens. You cannot have trap doors there.
No, that would be silly, yeah.
It would be a very nice firework if you.
Do they have a roof rack? Maybe they have a roof rack somewhere where they kept the car.
Yeah, maybe it's up here.
Maybe it's up here at the back of it, but then it might get blown up in space because, you know, I don't know. But where the hell would this car go? Where the hell would they put this car? That's my question, people. Where do you put a car? So how long are we going to attach ourselves that this thing that these guys supposedly are in is holding this thing, and this to me looks really like sort of like a...
How many days were they on the moon?
3.
3 days. 2 men, 3 days.
I think the longest one was 3 days. The first was 1.5 days, and the last guys were able to stay 3 days.
How much food and water would they require?
And did they piss in a bag or shit in a bag and throw it out the window? How did that work?
Well, they dig a little hole on a lunar surface and
find a hydrant or a tree. But, you know, we're in this conversation about this, and I was saying that the facts appear to be contradicting what we're told.
Yes.
And I'm trying to maybe just make a comment. I'm not saying that they didn't go, but not with the story they're telling us. I mean, I'm looking at this and I'm saying if they went, let's say they went. But you please explain, somebody out there, make a comment, explain how this fucking car fits into that funny looking cardboard thing that's sitting on the surface.
And this is right after swallowing an amnesia pill that would enable us to forget about Van Allen radiation belt.
Yeah,
and all those other things that would have...
the microwave fryer for all biological substances would be fried like bacon. It would go through, like in a microwave, when you goes on and the microwaves hit stuff, it heats up. And when it heats up to the, it would probably be black and crisp and burnt, right?
Yeah.
That's how it would be. How did they get through that microwave? Yeah. But they managed somehow, and they somehow had this car stashed away in this lander because nobody else, unless they threw it off with like from the other vehicle with parachutes, and it came down and landed with parachutes or something, huh? That they threw this thing out. And why would they have to have 3 if they just park it nearby the next one? They can use it over and over again. You know, why did we have to pay for 3? Plus, on this, they say they built 3. Where was it? No, not this one. They built 3 and had 1 left over. Apollo mission 15, 16, 17, and 1 used for spare parts that was never used. So we paid $38 million for something that was never used, just spare parts. Just why not just make a spare part when you need it instead of paying 38 million for a whole thing? Just have the spare parts. Well, maybe spare parts are more expensive than the whole thing. You know, when you buy a car, the spare parts add up. Car is
Yeah.
50,000, the spare parts 150,000 if
Yeah,
you build it
exactly.
that way, right? Maybe that's what it was, huh? They
Mhm.
went to a spare part manufacturer.
I wonder if this rover had an ashtray in it, or a drink holder.
I don't know. You know, look at this construction here. It's kind of rather basic, huh? What's 38 million on this Rover? I'd really like to figure. I bet the tires were at least. They got to be at least 10 or 15 million. These tires, because everything else looks kind of shitty.
I've seen this up front. It's not a tire. It's a
It's a mesh
series of metal ribs
right here.
uh,
Yeah.
enclosed in a fine steel mesh.
Yeah. So it's a mesh. How does it retain its structure? It's like
There is
inner.
no way that can be assembled up on the moon.
Yeah.
This is manufactured,
Right.
and
It has to come that way.
each one of these, if you put it in relation to a man standing next to it, is considerable size that you cannot stack four of these donuts and still have room left in.
So, I mean, even I don't see a nut that can be undone, that they undid this and stacked it. But still, you eliminate a little bit of space from the wheels, but you have this long kind of chassis that maybe it's collapsible. I don't know. Maybe this sort of squeezes together here and it comes really small and they take this thing off. But at least they should have showed us how they assembled it. Didn't you say with, like, how do you assemble it with those?
Yeah, with the astronaut gloves.
Those, yeah, bulky kind of gloves, right? They were pretty bad.
But there are many little details that you can pick on. And for example, in a trip to moon, weight is of extreme importance. You need to keep the weight down as much as possible. And when looking at this, I can see the necessity of mud flaps or fenders on the front wheel to protect the astronauts from flying sand. You don't need it on the back one. So let's have a big rooster tail behind us.
Okay,
What difference does it make?
so we got,
So we can save all of that
yeah,
on
there's a
both
couple of
sides.
million right there. There's a couple of
Not
million
only
saved right there.
the weight that we need to push off the ground
Yeah.
and all the way
Okay.
to
You
the
don't even
moon.
care about the money, do you? It's like
No, it's just
okay.
from
We
an
have 2
engineering
minutes.
point of view.
We have 2 minutes left to discuss the idea of this fact, how this fact does not match up with this. Okay, the facts do not match up. What does that mean to humanity? Like people seeing this who go on with their lives saying, I don't give a shit. They can lie to us about this and charge us all they want and pretend we went to the moon. Why is that? You got a minute.
If you're smart, you would want to find out why people are lying to you. There is an intent, there is an agenda that they're lying to you. So this is very clear that we are being told a lie. This rover did not come from there. So the real story is being kept from us, and to what aim?
To what aim? Is to just have us follow along. Maybe it's a test how much we can actually pull off. You can tell somebody this is green when it's red and everybody say, yeah, it's green. If I'm told it's red and it's actually green, then that's the test. I think that's the point probably. Anyway, my capture is basically done. I only get 15 minutes on the capture. So I think you're right. The exercise is to see how far the facts don't need to match with reality in order to conduct a culture, a life for people on this planet. That's what I think is probably. Anyway, that's our comment for today. I just wanted to put this up because I came across it, a documentary on, look at that, Apollo Experience 17, part 1 of 2. And you can see this. I got this off Prime Video. Anyway, that's it for today.